to approve a couple of sets of minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the executive session minutes of October 19th, 2015, and October 26th, 2015.
I'll second that. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
I could say something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait for him to get done the Fay.
Yeah. If you would, please.
Thank you.
And before we continue, I'd just like to introduce everybody, if people who don't know, our new selectman, Charlie Chase, is sitting in the middle here. Welcome aboard, Charlie.
Okay, literally in the middle, I guess, right? But I just want to say that I really look forward to, first of all, working with you two gentlemen. And I think overall, we're going to make a pretty good combination. I look forward. I know probably they may not realize this at this point, but I really do look forward to working with Fay and Heather. I just want to point out that based on some discussions, I got a feeling we probably got a lot more in common than each of us realized. So, and I think we all work for the betterment of our community. The other thing is, came through a pretty long and tough election. It's been something I've been considering for quite some time. And the main thing is I just wanted to get back involved in things. And I want to thank Kathy Inman. I know she's done a lot of work, and yeah, I worked very hard not to criticize or say anything negative. I have a great deal of respect for her. When I was asked why I was running, I would always say, I'm not running against Kathy, I'm running for the office. And it was something I wanted to do. Kathy and I have had a chance to speak briefly, and that sort of thing. I hope everybody realizes, I was very careful not to criticize the board. I've written, I don't know how many statements in the past, I don't know how long, but I have worked very hard not to do that. I worked very hard not to criticize our staff. I really tried. You probably I probably thought I took a couple of shots, but they were pretty mild. And but I just wanted to clarify that. I really look forward to you two gentlemen working on things. I think we have a lot in common. We all grew up in Barry, and that's critical. I also have been asked, I don't know how many times, in the paper about a number of issues. I think a week or I don't know how long, a few days before the election, I think we had a discussion about accessibility to the report. I didn't really say much, but I just want to give my view on this. I don't blame anybody in Barry. I don't blame my colleagues. I don't blame Heather. I don't blame the officers. I don't blame Chief Eric. People on all sides of the townspeople. I felt it should be open, and the person that really deserves any blame here is the people that wrote it. And they're the ones who brought it into an open meeting, started talking about it. If they had, I think I saw something there referring to, I don't know what it was, trade secrets or something. To me, if they didn't want that stuff included, they should have arranged to take care of that stuff before the meeting. That was what I was referring to, and that is their issue, and that was a terrible mistake on their part, but nonetheless it happened. My feeling is that once it's out there, it's out. And if they had stuff that they wanted redacted, they should have arranged for that before that meeting or held off. I mean, that's just my view on public record. I don't blame anybody in Barry. That pretty much, that's their shot. They did it to themselves. And, so I feel that I think is pretty strong. Now, there was referrals, I think, I don't know when, in the paper on interdepartmental movement of money, I guess is the way it is. I have had a long-standing view on that issue. I'm not criticizing anybody for what they did. That is my personal view. I've always erred on the side of trying to do it through a town meeting. I understand that people may not agree with it. That's a personal view that I've had, I don't know, since I started in things when I was 22 years old. That's just my personal view. I'm not saying anybody's wrong or I'm right or wrong, but, that's just my personal view. So, and I had an issue with it, some of the recommendations on, coming up with chief selection and stuff. I don't think we really have that right to commit on something like that for future boards. And that's also a feeling of mine for that. And, that's a long-standing issue. I think the logic speaks for itself. And, I had some problems with that. There were other things, but, I just want to make it very, very clear on these issues. I'm not blaming anybody in Barry. I just felt that if they didn't want it on the table, they should have taken care of these issues before they came in. How they would have done that, I guess that's their call. But once it goes on the table, in my mind, it's pretty well out there. And, that's just the way I feel. And, I'm not blaming anyone here. That's their call. And, I just want to make that very clear. Just as a little thing, if you're writing a professional report, there are some grammatical errors in there, but I guess I'd leave that to Ellie. But I noticed a few, and, while it doesn't change the outcome, it's kind of a pet peeve of mine, even though I spelled one word wrong in her story. But I do think that it should be grammatically correct, and that doesn't reflect on us, it reflects on them. It's not a major issue because the content is pretty clear. So I just want to say that, and I really don't blame anybody. And, I saw the presentation. As soon as I heard it, I said, this is going to be out of control very fast. And, the choice of words wasn't very good, and as soon as I saw the nice guy thing, this is going to cause a lot of trouble, not being able to hire citizens from Barry into the police chief, or you can extrapolate that out to be any department, and I'm thinking this is going to be a sticky issue. And that was almost, when I was around the town on the campaign, that was almost as big as all the other comments. And I was just thinking of, people in the schools and even our superintendent and things like this. I mean, this was quite a statement, quite a statement. But, that would mean if somebody's an officer outside the town, lived in Barry, and, I suppose they recommend we shouldn't hire them. So I just wanted to clarify, my positions on it. And please remember, I was very, very careful not to criticize the board. I was equally careful not to say anything about Kathy. I think I kept to the best of my ability. I really tried to do that. It was, what I was running for. I wasn't running against you gentlemen. I had a specific position I was running for. I feel that you're entitled to your opinions. I feel that everyone I have ever served with on this board, and boy, there's been a lot of them, a lot of people. I've never seen an exception from anybody that hasn't tried to act in the interest of the town and for the betterment of our community. So I just wanted to say that, and, you know, I understand that, and we may go back and forth on issues, but I always view it that way, and I think that's very important for us to remember. We have a lot of boards and different things, and I think people try to work on behalf of our town. We have the schools. I think they're trying to do the best thing they can for our community. So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. So, I know, Heather, you might be upset. I was pretty careful overall. I was really careful. You know, it may not have come out that way to you. You may not have perceived it. But overall, I really didn't say much. And I put out, I don't know how many written statements. And I know some people thought I was running on one issue. That's furthest from the truth. I put out some statements early on that I was still looking into the thing while I had a, you know, leaning in the chief's position. I didn't actually firm up the position until we were in this a ways. And, you know, I tried to think the issue through in a very objective manner. So that's just my view on it. I know people said it was a one-issue thing, but it's hardly, and I've never been a one-issue person. I have a lot of interest, and that's important to me. And, you know, I've worked on a lot of projects, and I still feel that way. And, you know, I think there's a lot of things going on, but we can work them out. So that's just my feeling on it, the whole issue. And, you know, I feel bad for everybody involved in that report. And I do feel when I say it compromised the integrity of the report. Once it got going, it had a life of its own, and now it's, you know, just kind of the, you know, criticized and the laughing stock. It had made our officers look like they don't do anything. And that's very, very unfortunate because, and lost in all this, I think we all remember last fall, you know, the incident down on 122 and the car and, you know, assaulting the older man. Yeah. I honestly didn't think they'd catch him, or I guess the word is apprehend, but they did, and I thought that was just totally amazing to me. And, you know, I stopped on the common one day. I didn't get a chance to stop at the station. I told the officers on traffic detail, maybe they forgot, but I was very proud to say I was a resident of Barry, and that's what I told them. Unfortunately, stuff like that has been lost in the transgressions here, and I have said that several times. That is a really, you know, that's part of this whole issue, and we forget that sort of thing. And, you know, and I felt very bad in some of the columns. They were portrayed as having nothing else to do, this and that, and, you know, that's a very unfortunate consequence because I think we all respect the job that's done, and it's a very good job. And, you know, in this whole thing, that one came to mind. I have spoken on that number of occasions, and, you know, we can't forget this type of thing. You know, but it's kind of been lost for whatever reason. I don't think by intent. It's just been lost. So that's an unfortunate thing. So I just wanted to reiterate that I've tried to be careful. I really look forward to working with you gentlemen. And while Heather and Faye may have some reservations here, I really look forward to working with you two. I got a feeling we probably have a lot more in common about freedom of government, local government, and the need for it. So I think once we get used to each other, it's going to go fine. And, you know, I really look forward to working with everybody and on behalf of the citizens of our community. So thank you. That's all I got to say.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Richie?
Good luck, Charlie.
Good, thank you. I'll need it. Heather? Thank you. Big firm handshake. Stay out.
You had a question or comment?
Yeah, I just would like to ask Charlie, Charlie, when that report came out, would you agree or disagree that they meant that he was a good guy, but he was too good to lead the department, or just a good guy in general?
Now, who is this?
At the chief, when the report came out, would you agree that they said that he was too nice of a guy to run the department?
Yeah, and one of the things that I was concerned in the report, and I think it's pretty clear, a lot of those are opinions. And it's, it's pretty vague in spots. And I think if you're gonna, it's very difficult to quantify an opinion. That's one reason, if you noticed, I said some sort of grievance, then we have something qualitative that we can balance it with. We have a place to start, they have a place to start, and then we work from there. But at least we've got the contract to work things out, appeals and all that stuff. And, that's not a personal issue or something. That's why I was saying that I felt that that was better. What was presented that night was strictly opinion, and once you do that without the qualitative things, it becomes very difficult. That's one reason I think you probably saw it several times before the election and afterwards. That's why I felt the grievance should be filed. Then we have something to work with. We have a contract, and if there's an alleged violation of the contract, we have the contract to work things out with. And they can make offers, we can make offers, it's very clear what both sides can do. That's one reason I think the contract with the officers would have enabled us to do that. And I'm not saying it necessarily would, but it would have given us a much better starting point. And, maybe it prevented some of the stuff that's been going on, which is, terrible for the whole town, really. The media stuff and all the stuff on the computers is kind of taken on a life of its own. And, that's an unfortunate consequence. It doesn't look good for Barry. It doesn't look good for anything in this town, really. So I hope that clarifies.
Okay.
Okay, next, we're gonna go on to old business. I do believe it was at the last Selectmen's meeting I was presented with this recall to notification. And in accordance with Chapter 520, the Action 79 had 5 days to voluntarily resign. And today is the 5th day, and I am choosing not to resign as a selectman in the town of Barry. I've been a selectman in town for 10 years now. I've tried to do what I think is in the best interest in the town, for the residents, and I'm going to try to continue to do that. So my answer is no, I will not resign. Mr. O'Sullivan?
Yes, I have a couple points on that. As you're well aware, that is my petition. And as the law reads in that petition, you were to have been immediately notified when that was handed to the select board, which was on the 31st. And you had 5 days from then, which was last Tuesday, to resign. Even by your own counting, trying to push it off to saying last Monday, this is now Monday. This is 7 days. You've once again violated the whole law of 5 days to give you notice to resign.
All right, Heather, you want to comment
There are
on
7
that?
days in a week, and there are 7 days till now. But either way, at this point, you are virtually 11 or 12 days past the confirmation of these signatures, and it's quite aggravating to the 600+ people that signed that expect us to move forward when you're taking such delay tactics as this. That are, quite frankly, then I'm being honest, this will go to a state level. I'll look into this, because I believe the actions taken by the other members of the board and yourself at this point are in violation of the recall law.
I will comment on that. I don't know if the special act was attached to that as far as reference.
Hold on, Heather.
But,
Want to hand that down to her? Please.
that's not. So the way the special act reads is the Board of Selectmen have to provide that notification to that person being recalled.
I'm aware of that.
And so the certification came in on a Thursday, and if you're aware of public open meeting law, you need to post a meeting 48 hours in advance. That Monday was the next available meeting for the Board of Selectmen.
The term
give
of the
that-
law is immediately notified. It doesn't
It's
say at the next
there.
convenient meeting.
It doesn't say immediately notified.
Okay. I'm gonna look into it, just letting you know that I will be looking into it. And also, as far as 7 days, well, we're all the way to 7 days in a week. This is 7 days, not 5 days.
Well, when would the 5 days be up, you're saying?
Last Tuesday.
No, so we met on Monday, so
But
the
then your
5
timeline would have
days
been on Saturday.
would be Saturday, we don't meet on Saturdays.
It has nothing to do
And
with
this is
this,
the next
nothing in the
available
law
day.
that spells out at your
Yeah.
next convenient meeting. The law specifically says days. Doesn't say calendar days, or meeting days, or the next meeting session. It's very clear with 5 days.
And it
Once again,
says,
you fail to understand and interpret the simplest of language in some of these laws in town. You've done this before in
no,
other
this
issues,
was
and
in
this is part of this law.
consultation with town council and the town clerk. So it wasn't that the board took any action on the days, it was in consultation with town council and the town clerk.
I do have
that
different
those-
opinions, so I'm just letting you know that I will look into it. And I will look
Okay,
into it
that's
at
good.
a state level.
Okay, next we're gonna go to, what,
But
Sam?
you have
What?
to
What's
vote,
Oh, yeah.
the board members have to vote on a special election date.
All right, what,
The town clerk would like to hold that on May 17th.
all right. So I would make a motion that we hold the recall election on the 17th of May.
The only other person that can second that is
Charlie?
Charlie.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So second, second,
Yeah, you seconded it, Charlie?
and Richard
Okay, all in
Staines.
favor, yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
Aye,
and I'll abstain from that.
okay.
Sam, you had a comment or
Is
question?
is there a cost to the town for, to ask for elections? And
About $8,000 to
Yes.
$10,000.
we're all of our town lovers here are agreeing to take $8,000 to $10,000 out of our treasury for some purpose.
Correct.
It's an interesting direction.
All right.
Okay, so that's all set.
There was paperwork as far as the official language of the question that needs to be signed by the,
Oh, okay.
By Mr.
by
Where is that?
Selectmen
Is it in that
first
folder?
and Selectmen chief. And that needs to be given to the town clerk tonight.
She comes in at 7.
There you go.
Mary Ann will be there, yes.
No, okay.
If you want to read the
Oh,
actual
yeah.
language as well.
All right, this is from the Barry Board of Selectmen to Ellen Glidden, the town clerk, April 11th, 2016. Dear Town Clerk, upon receipt of the certification of required number of signatures needed to seek the removal of Selectman Richard P. Ankowskis, the Board of Selectmen voted at its meeting on April 11th, 2016, to hold the recall election on Tuesday, May 17th, 2016. The question to be placed on the ballot is as follows. Shall the voters of Barry recall from the office of the Board of Selectmen Richard P. Ankowskis? Yes or no? It's gonna be,
Yes.
okay.
You have that signed. You want to hand that down to her, please,
Sure.
Charlie? Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, next we have new business. We have a special events permit. I'm not sure, Charlie, if you're aware of this special events permit. It started a couple of years back because we had an event that happened in town, and it was brought forth, I think mostly to our police department, that it was gonna be this. It was a small event, and, you know, it was no big deal, and it turned into the total opposite of that.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
So this is, so we have that in effect now. So
Okay.
before us tonight, we have a application for a special event permit, excuse me. It's for a car show, car swap meet and car show. It's gonna be held April 30th, 2016 at Felton Field, from 7 to 5. So we need to approve this, and upon our approval, it also needs to be approved by Conservation. I take it the other boards have already seen it.
Yep, the signatures are all on the signature page.
Okay.
Conservation just has not met yet to view it. So I ask that you guys approve this pending the approval of Conservation.
And we also have in here a signed paperwork from the Felton Field Commission.
Right.
They approved that too.
Yep, and I believe there's a map in there
I was
of the
wondering about
grounds.
Yeah.
And the email correspondence with the EMS
Mhm.
and police chief that I had with this event.
So,
So I'll make a motion, we sign the special event permit.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
What's Thursday?
The 11th.
Sign that one there, Joe.
Yep. Okay. God, your handwriting's almost as bad as mine. There you go.
It's consistent though. Joe.
What?
It's consistent
The
though.
worst is, when I was on the school committee, I could probably still see it, it's Richard Allen's. That was pretty,
We'll see that. None of us will get an A in penmanship, Charlie.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Mr. Fleming, you have a question?
That permit application, who from the planning board signed it?
You did.
I signed the one for Felton Field.
You did, yeah. The other day in the
I
office
thought I
with me.
signed it for the Spartan race.
I don't know what you signed.
I didn't ask you that, Richard. I said.
Well, you said,
I think I signed the Spartan race one.
Well, that's
Actually,
what-
no, I'm incorrect. You did sign the Spartan one. Mary Ann will be bringing it to your meeting this week.
I'm not losing my mind.
that's why I asked if all the other boards had seen it, Dennis.
Sorry. So it will be pending both.
Just, I would like to make a recommendation on those forms. If you could continue with putting planning board and conservation, because we had the people from the Spartan race at our meeting the other day, and we didn't see planning board's name to sign something. And it was brought to my attention after that there is a box on there that said other. So I didn't
Just-
know about it, so.
I did explain to Dennis in the office the other day, Spartan and this event actually had printed off our old form. The new form, do you recall, we had modified it and we added planning, conservation,
Oh,
and
you
then
did?
other. Yep, and I thought I explained that to you the other day, and I showed you the new form. But, so it is there.
Oh,
So it will be
Yep.
there.
Yep, they just printed off the old form.
So to answer your other question, yes, you are losing your mind.
Just glad to know.
Alrighty, we have a request for use of town property from the Band of Voices. They would like to use the town hall on Wednesday. That doesn't make sense. It's May 25th, and then Wednesday, plus 6/4/16 Saturday.
She had originally submitted this and then called back and requested to change the date, so that's my scribbles in here. So she's requesting to use it May 25th and then June 4th.
Okay, so not April.
No, where does it say?
So Richie, it doesn't run into Memorial Day or anything, does it? No.
No, I don't think so.
Week before.
No, they're days, it's not a week long. It's
Okay.
the specific 2 days.
Yep.
And it's for a summer solstice concert, Freedom,
I think they did that last year.
Before the solstice.
motion.
Make a motion, we grant Band of Voices request to use the town hall on the dates listed.
Second it. All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Yep.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, next we have the Board of Selectmen Code of Conduct Policy. For the meeting, I was just bringing Charlie up to speed a little bit, that we've been, for the last, 5 or 6 years, we've been going through a lot of updating of policies, adding some, subtracting some, and this is one of them. I don't know if my fellow board members got a chance to go over this
I did.
draft,
I did, yeah.
and what's the board's take on this?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, you know, we put rules and regulations on every other board in the town, whether it's through updated personnel policies, personnel handbook, pretty much everything, and it's probably a good idea that the board is governed by rules and regulations too. So that's my take.
All right, Charlie?
Yeah, I've been through this, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and certain aspects of it, I'm fine with the concept. I don't have a problem with that, but I'm reading it through, and, you know, there seems to be some sort of restrictions that relate to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, this sort of thing. I don't disagree with what's being tried here, but I just see that, and this isn't a matter of mass laws, this is a matter of constitutional laws, which I don't profess to be an expert on, but I have done a lot of historical research and study, and I just want to make some reference through this country's great history is that, you know, it seems to put restrictions on us as individuals, Heather, Ray, and, you know, this is reiterated throughout the history of our country, the Declaration of Independence, it's in there, what we're going to stand for, the Bill of Rights, the Articles of Confederation, and last by no means least, the Constitution, the greatest document ever written. And, you know, that protects the rights of all people, and we've had a number of presidents speak on this, everybody from Jefferson to Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address, and Wilson at the start of World War I, FDR, Eisenhower, Kennedy at the great speech in Berlin, one of the iconic speeches, and certainly President Reagan in Berlin. And they all reiterate the rights that we're clamping down on in this. And I have a real problem with it. And, you know, I look at this, well-intentioned, I'm not arguing what we're trying to do, but the way it's written, it seems to have some restrictions that we, on the board, what can be said on everybody. And, you know, I'm not sure, I think it needs some reworking, but, you know, as I was sitting here thinking, and, you know, we've had men and women that have fought and died to protect these rights, and many paid the ultimate price, and, you know, I kind of, every so often, I would walk in North Park just to remind myself, and we have a great veteran here. I was gonna say on my right, but I better say to my right to be politically correct, but.
Yeah, well, yes.
Get that? But, you know, I just think it needs some reworking based upon those things. I'm certainly willing to do that. There's another issue, and I see it as an issue of protection. I don't know if they'll agree. But when we're doing these things, it's also extrapolated through to Heather and Fay, and I believe that they have the same freedoms as the rest of us, and while we're on the job, that's one thing, but they go home and say something about the board, you know, they, probably thought it before, but we're a bunch of knuckleheads or something, and they're talking to their friends. These things have a small way of coming around, and they shouldn't suffer repercussions for that. And somehow we got to work that in here.
I agree, Charlie, that freedom of speech is one of
Right.
the best, one of the greatest freedoms we have. Unfortunately, the position a lot of times we find ourselves in
Right.
is what we say and how we say it and who we say it to,
Mhm.
sitting in a meeting, can have a direct effect on the town getting sued, you know, so.
Right,
so-
I
you know what I'm
understand.
saying? Some
Yeah,
things
I-
we just can't.
I fully
Right.
understand that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I think if it's reworked, and I'm certainly willing to do that, help, not do,
Yeah.
but help.
Right.
I think, you know, conceptually, it's fine. I think if we put these things in, it can come out okay. I don't think it's terribly complicated, but these are things that I was giving some thought to. And I'm also concerned, you know, for the rights of Heather and Fay, who are our agents, and
right.
they should have some protection when they speak for the board and stuff in town, and in the end, speak for the policy of the board and the policy of the voters who give us power. But I think it should be denoted what types of freedoms they have when they're away from the board, or
I agree.
not necessarily what they can say, but
Right,
you know,
right.
but I think if, you know, they say something to friends, they should have that right.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
So,
Charlie, can I
we don't have
curious-
to act, excuse me, Rich, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just curious, because I looked through it several times, and could you just maybe point out to me the area about where you think that the freedom of speech is?
It's putting a restriction, oh God, I don't see this pile of paper, let me see. if I can- Yeah.
When I was going through that, I thought that was kind of protecting, like town employees, the town itself, town employees, including Heather and Fay.
Right.
Also the selectmen, because I think there was one part in there specifically stated that, like a selectman shouldn't be going out one-on-one to criticize a town employee or committee member or board member.
Mhm.
So the part that he was saying that, you know, to look out for, like, you use as an example, Heather and Fay, I think that was pretty much covered in there on that section.
Let me see it. It's like certain aspects here, I think it could be extrapolated very easy. Limit contact with town staff and/or request for additional background should the town administrator, council department head, the office of, should be copied on all requests. There's another one in here that I don't know where it is, but I did read it, and it relates to the ability of the board members, not necessarily to articulate the views of the board, but of themselves, and, you know, and I took that to mean, you know, the media or anything. I don't think we should be criticizing the board. Don't get me wrong on that, but I think if somebody wants our opinion or something, our personal ones, we should be able to give it. And that's what I'm concerned about. And the papers should be allowed, they should be able to print. And, you know, you can look all the way through this and see, you know, the different sort of references to that, or the inferences. And that was my only concern. And this is a little bit different than the one I got, but, you know, I just am concerned about that. And, you know, I have no problems with the ethics or anything, but, you know, I just think, you know, it doesn't hurt. Clarify these issues, then it's set.
Okay,
And
do you have a copy of this, Charlie?
I got a copy, and, yeah,
Maybe you could go over your copy? just
yeah,
to
yeah, I don't
suggest
actually have it with me, but I've been through this
things, Mark
thing.
it up,
Yeah, I'm willing to help, and,
We don't have to pass it tonight, we'll just,
no, I know that.
you know,
and bring it back to the board,
yeah.
that we can discuss the.
Yeah,
the
yeah, I hope
changes
that, you know, I don't, you know, really disagree with the intent. I probably don't totally disagree with the concept. I just think we want to have it clarified. I think we want to have it specified that our agents have
Yep.
certain freedoms as well. They have the same ones as everybody else.
All right, like
If
I
they're-
said, just mark it up and we'll
Yeah.
get back to our next meeting and we can discuss it. And
Yeah.
Can I just add one?
Sure.
Just to talk about the intent of the policy. It's it's to keep, so the board is acting a professional unit, you know, in their conduct with employees and staff and other committees. That's the intent.
I understand that.
And the language from it was taken, other towns have adopted the same policy, such as Princeton, Holden, Sudbury, just to name a few, so if you go online.
That
you
I
can-
understand too. I follow things fairly closely, but I just think I would just like to have it a little more specific and, you know, maybe, I'm sure we can work this out. This
Yeah,
isn't a
sure.
terribly complicated issue.
I wouldn't think so, Joe.
No.
You know, like Richie suggested, and I'd suggest the same thing, get your copy, mark.
Yeah, well, I have my copy.
Yeah,
I've been
that's
through
right.
this,
Yeah,
as you can tell,
My-
several times.
mark whatever you feel
Right.
needs changing and stuff. The board will discuss it, we'll
Yeah.
run it
That's
through the
fine.
lawyers to make sure everything's. going
Yeah, I
smoothly.
understand.
Perfect.
so you want to take this under advisement for the time being?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just,
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we take it under advisement until,
Okay, second.
All in favor?
I,
As a citizen, I was just wondering, you're working on this proposal, which is, I think, a good idea. Perhaps there's a way that this could be put on the website, and so the citizens can observe what's going on and what may be going on, and at certain levels, and, you know, you can have one copy, it can be marked up and redlined. There's a way to redline it on the internet somehow, or on the website. And when things get changed, at least we have an idea of what's occurring. And because ultimately, we're going to have to, the citizens are going to have to interact with this new agreement at some level. So it should be comfortable for all of us. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Richie, I'll address that, 'cause it was my concerns. You know, in the past, when I've been on other committees, particularly the school committee, I don't think it's law, but once we put a policy together, you know, I've always felt it should go on the table for, I don't know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And then if anybody wants to review it, in case on the computer, but if anybody wants to review it or comment, they have that opportunity. That's just always been my feeling on this, and I know we did it on the school committee. I think we did it before, I can't recall exactly. But this way, everybody gets their input, and, you know, I'll guarantee you, there probably isn't gonna be a flood looking into this, but, yeah, I would like to see in the future all the policies laid on the table for a few weeks and then implement them.
Okay. You have anything else, Helen?
Thank you.
For the board? Yes, not on this topic.
Oh, okay, something else, yep.
I contacted State Ethics Commission because I had a question about 2 different scenarios that I need to, they advised I file disclosures of financial interests on. There is a scheduled public auction for tax foreclosed properties this Wednesday, and my husband's company has indicated they might come to the auction and bid. So I wanted to file that disclosure.
file that with the town clerk.
No, the board has to
Okay.
sign off, but I would, and the reason I would be filing, I don't have final say on that, the tax custodian does, but I would want to cease any involvement and step back, not have any knowledge of
The bidding
that,
process.
the process that day.
Yep.
So
Okay.
that's one.
So you want a motion for us to accept that, or just to sign it?
Yes, probably a motion.
The motion, leave,
I'll make,
to sign that.
yeah, I'll make a motion, we sign Heather Lemieux's disclosure as her husband's company has a financial, well, may have a financial
Yeah.
interest in the auction coming up.
Second
I'll
it. Oh, go ahead, Charlie.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The, this part, yeah.
So we all three of us sign
Yeah.
it? Okay.
So you upload a prison form, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I
That's
do a
what-
lot of
that-
things for him, but
What a white,
Yeah, I guess we just sign in a line.
yeah, that's
shall we?
okay, I already got a pen.
Just a comment, those are real estate parcels that are going to be,
they're tax foreclosed properties.
whoever the buyer is on each one of them, there's a couple of documents that the buyer has to sign. One's an affidavit that they have never been
Yeah.
charged with arson, and I forget what the other one is, but I think the other one's that they're up to date with their taxes.
Good to be back with you, Jim.
Nice to see you, Charlie. Been a while since you...
Been a while, yes it has.
Second one, Heather?
The second I'm doing preemptively, again, because my husband's company. The PNP General Contractors was a low bidder for the public safety building, and they sometimes do subcontracting work for them, and not that they're, are on this job, but they have been subcontracted by that company before. So I wanted to preemptively file that, even though the bid hasn't been awarded.
Right, that hasn't been awarded yet, but
And,
err on the side of caution, correct, Heather?
Yep, and on this one, I will also make a motion, we sign the disclosure for that an immediate family member may have a financial interest in the matter of the
Public safety.
thank you, public safety building.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Anything else, Heather?
No, just, we were supposed to have a DPW meeting tonight after this meeting, which was canceled and being rescheduled to a new date. Probably gonna be April 27th, it looks like. But just, part of that meeting, we were gonna discuss a solar project on the DPW roof. And, the committee that was meeting about solar came to a compromise last week, and so they have increased the rec program and the cap, net metering cap. So the project that we have signed a net metering agreement with Iron Horse, that should be moving forward, because that was in the queue waiting for that. And so this project at the DPW should look promising as well.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Lee, if you have anything else?
Not this evening, no.
Charlie? Oh, got a couple hands up here. Mr. Lipson?
Well, I did call and ask to be on the agenda, but I was told there wasn't enough time and it worked out fine. However, in the interim, I wrote a letter to the selectmen about some issues going forward. And I don't think I have enough for you folks, I have enough for some others, but I don't have enough for everybody here. So however we can get copies to others, I'd be more than happy to share it with
Okay.
It's something we can look through, Sam, and then...
you. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Look at it.
You can look at it and
Thank you.
Yep, we get back to you.
and address it, not necessarily me,
Yep, at a
Address,
future meeting.
a future meeting.
Thanks, Sam.
I have two more.
You can share.
I have two more, so if you guys want to make copies.
We can share.
Right, you can make copies later. This is all a public document. You don't have to sign for it, or apply for it, or pay for it, so you can just go right ahead and make whatever copies are necessary.
Jim Russell, you had a question?
Yeah. On the police chief search update, is there any update on how that process is? Is there, I just was wondering if there's any update, if there's a search committee being formed or
We,
anything at this point?
Kelly, you want to answer that?
The last selectmen's meeting, the board did discuss advertising for members for a search committee. So I believe that we were gonna ask the paper to do a public service announcement about that, and we will also be putting it on our website and Facebook.
So it's fair to say that you are asking people in the community to serve on it. Do you know how many you want?
That hasn't been determined, we didn't specify at that meeting, so
Yeah.
they'll probably have to.
And they would send their letter of interest to you via email or in person or by
Correct.
post? Anything on the reorganization? I got here a few minutes late. Did the board reorganize at the beginning of the meeting?
Nope,
We did not.
didn't know. We
Okay.
should put that on
On
the
the
agenda
next
for the next
meeting's
one.
agenda.
Good point,
Yeah,
James.
no, thank you. I was late. I didn't know if you did. I asked somebody and, so I kind of had a feeling you might not have, but I just wanted to be sure. The code of ethics, that, can we get a draft of that? Where that's at, the selectmen code of ethics, is that something we can look at?
I think once it's done, Jim, once we go through the changes, you're more than welcome to
Because I
it.
know the new selectman was saying that his experience was on the school committee that drafts should be made available so that people can look at them. But you're saying when you have the final version ready to vote on it, we should. we can
I would
have it.
think that would, in my own
Yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
my opinion only, I think that would be better than you would have a finished document that everybody on the board agrees with and say, this is it. And
Yep.
then if they don't agree, if there's discussion back, we'd be more than willing.
So at
to-
that point, when you have your finished product, because it's still a work in progress, so when you have the
Correct.
finished product, then you'll put it on the table and maybe vote it at the following meeting or something like that?
Correct.
Okay,
Thank-
okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe there'd be even time for public
All right,
comment.
anything else? Motion to adjourn, please?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Favor? Aye.
Now, if you're doing the chair, please don't make the newest member.
Second,